This is the world capital of private aircraft manufacturing. More airplanes are made in Kansas than anywhere in the world. The largest employer in Kansas, besides the government, is Cessna Aircraft, a Kansas homegrown aviation company with roots as deep as the rich Kansas soil that nurtures the state's bountiful wheat crop.
Cessna is really known as the company that taught the world to fly. And going back to our heritage back into the 1927 era, Cessna really is all about bringing people into aviation. Our single engine product, which has been around forever, and it really is what the Cessna brand originally represented. We've tried to grow from that. We've done some things to continue to innovate and bring new technologies to those airplanes, and it really is fundamental globally in teaching the entire world to fly. The Cessna Skyhawk, which celebrated its 50th anniversary this year, has probably taught more people to fly than any other single airplane in the world. So you can imagine how important, how critical it is to the overall aviation industry. The pilot in a 747 today, he probably started in a Cessna 172. Well, the Wichita plant, which is our founding plant, currently is our manufacturing for our Caravan utility airplanes and our Citation jets. And it does a lot of the manufacturing from a machine shop perspective. And this is where we started. In 1996, we decided to expand, and we went out and looked within the state where would be another desirable location, and we opened the Independence, Kansas facility, which is about 125 miles from here. That facility is focused entirely on our single engine production line, which we're producing close to 1,000 airplanes a year just out of that facility. Next year, we'll start producing at that facility our new Citation Mustang, which we hope will be producing close to 150 a year of this new, exciting, very light jet.
We built 6,000 singles here, and I've worked on the single line since we opened, so I was really excited and proud to build a jet here. The first time in the history that I know of that we've built singles and jets in the same building. And it's the first time we've ever built a jet in Independence.
When our employees walk through the door, we have an environment that allows them to be productive, and the fact that we are the #1 general aviation company, it's a winning atmosphere. So people really pull together, they feel good about what we do, they feel good about the position that we have, they feel good about our history, they feel very good about how we contribute back to the community, and it's all the esprit de corps of being on a winning team. And I know when I get up in the morning, that's why I get so excited about wanting to come to work.
This was a stress test photo stunt back in the early days of the company, but in the 21st century, the same principles apply, though of course many, many more have been added and sophisticated for today's highly designed aircraft.
Back in the old days, they would literally build a test article and put sandbags on top to simulate the loads or the weights. Today they do it all with hydraulic systems, hydraulic test rigs and strain gauges, and that information then gets fed into a computer where it analyzes the data, and so we can do it. We can simulate lifetimes on airplanes right now a lot quicker than before. We can do accelerated life testing, and so the whole thing has just progressed very rapidly, and the technology with the testing part has progressed very rapidly as well. Well, the average plane maybe will put 400 to 500 hours a year. In some cases, if it's a high utilization customer, they may put 1,000 or 1,200 hours. So when we run it out to 75,000 hours, that usually represents more than, say, 3 or 4 lifetimes of that airplane. But we like to test it to that extent just to make sure that it will withstand that kind of service.
In Eastport, Maine, the once busy fishing docks are a little less so now, but there are still many here who continue to rely on the sea for their living. Eastport is the first community in the United States illuminated by the morning sun. The North Coast is one of the most picturesque areas along Maine's extensive and dramatic rendezvous with the Atlantic, quintessential Down East Maine. The term Down East, incidentally, comes from sailing a westerly, downwind to Maine from Boston. So sailing down east? The region's moniker stuck and has been so for a couple hundred years. Few places in the world equal the magnificence of the East Coast.
Good eating.
What are they?
Atlantic mackerel. Yeah, they're real good eating. I can have them smoked. Just steam them too. Real good with onions. Some of that raised mustard here in town.
Around 1900, the sardine industry was born here, right along with another business that has endured the test of time.
What we're running today is called Liquid Gold. Liquid Gold is the old sardine mustard. So many folks in Maine grew up with this that we've had a call for it and we still produce it. People use it in cooking or they use it in their hot dogs. The local hot dog stands use it. Comes out of the squeeze bottle easier. The process is a cold grind process. So when you put your seeds and spices through the series of stones out back, we don't produce any more than just a couple of degrees change in temperature. Then at the end of the line, the mustard is aged, so it has a chance to develop its full flavor. And this is historically the way mustard was ground. The first two stones do most of the grinding. The last two stones produce the creamy texture that we like. And it comes off into a barrel, which we set aside to age. So when the mustard's at the right stage and it's developed its nice complex flavor, then we bottle it. Mustard's like one of those products, well, nobody ever thought, where does it come from? People don't understand that the mustard they eat today is not the mustard they would have eaten 100 years ago, or that even the old mustard companies have mostly changed their method of producing the mustard. But this is the grandfather. This method is the grandfather and the granddaddy of all of today's mustards.